Christmas. You thought I was going to say marriage, didn't you? You weirdo. It's that time of year again. That means it's time to discuss what I made for Christmas. Each year I keep giving myself less and less time to make stuff for my family for Christmas gifts, but I always manage to pick the right projects that will take the right amount of time that I need. But there's always at least one that takes way longer than I'm expecting. I thought I was getting an early start this year, but the first one that I'm going to be talking about in this here video, this is the most complicated action figure I've ever made. At least it feels like it, as when I stop to think about all the moving parts that I put into this. It is Optimus Primal from the latest Transformers movie. As you can see, it has a lot of flexibility. His abs can move. He's got various shoulder plates. Every single part is an individual piece that I cut out and glued into place. And it looks pretty dang good, if I do say so myself. And so, here is how I made it. I started with the pipe cleaner skeleton, as I always do. I bulked it up a little bit. Honestly, I probably could have bulked it up more because there were a lot of places where I ended up actually having to go back and kind of add on to the individual armor plates. I started with the abs because I knew that those were like the most clearly designed part of it that I had in mind, that I knew I could stick on, and I just wanted to see how those were gonna move. The funny thing is, though, I originally was going off of this picture because it was one of the first pictures I could find. Back when I started this, I could not find very good screen grabs of the movie. And so going off of this picture, which I guess must be an early concept piece, I don't know exactly where it comes from, but I went with this simpler ab design, as you can see. Abs. But that's not actually what it looks like in the movie. It looks less muscular and more just like robot armor plating. But I realized that only after I'd already put the abs on. But how I did that was I took pipe cleaners and kind of bent it into a frame and then glued the individual pieces of foam along that frame so that like it's all being held together by the pipe cleaners, but the pipe cleaners are kind of holding the foam plates forward. And so once I glue the pipe cleaners onto the body in specific places, everything's kind of standing off so that when it moves and wiggles around, the ab plates will actually shift and slide against each other. Like I said, the abs were the ones that I had the clearest vision on, so I did them first, and then once that worked, I kind of used that as the template for all of the other armor pieces, because really it all follows that basic formula. I just bulked up the body to where I thought it was thick enough that I could put the armor plates over it. I would glue some foam to a pipe cleaner, but keep the ends free, and then I'd like bend the ends down under the armor piece and glue those on. Obviously, I'll have footage of a lot of this. I'll probably just let that play because it was very complicated. Like every single piece of this had to be put together very meticulously and stacked one on top of the other. head actually took me a while to sculpt. I wanted to make the features out of clay because I thought that would give me a little more control over the shaping process, but it kept looking too small, too skinny, just not quite expressive enough, not quite recognizable. But as usual, I just kept working on it, kept bulking it up, kept adding to it, and each time I added, like, I'd make sure to kind of carve out where the segments are so that I could keep all that straight. I was really worried that the head wasn't ever gonna look right. I thought I kind of messed up how, like, the head and neck and shoulders feed into each other. But once I actually got it bulked up, then I think it looks pretty good in the end. I had to keep adding things to the neck and the head and everything to make it look like that muscular gorilla look. The painting was always fun. I enjoy the painting process, especially if I'm painting like silver onto black. For some reason, that feels very satisfying. Like if you have a matte black and then you're dry brushing silver onto it, it makes it look very noticeable. It makes it look shiny without making it too dark. So I just did a lot of that, a lot of dry brushing and working things up to a silver where they need to be silver, leaving things black if they need to be dark. For any patches of fur, I just used kind of like scraps from a fleece type blanket. It had kind of a fluffy side to it. It didn't come out quite as fur-like as I wanted it to because it has a tendency to shed, and so in order to stop that from shedding, I kind of burnt the edges and then cover it in Mod Podge, and that made it look very matted. But it's not really natural fur anyway, it's robot fur, so I think it looks good enough. And then for all of the kind of skin patches, that's just pleather. And then of course, once I got it looking all metallic, I went in with a lot of rust and dirt. And I didn't want him to look too dirty, but, you know, I wanted him to look like he's been around for a while. And because weathering just always adds kind of a little extra layer of character to it. And yeah, in the end, I think this is one of the most kind of, I don't know if fluid makes sense, but like I just look at the way the body moves especially, and I'm like, this paid off